Testing.
Good evening. Today is Monday, September 22nd, 2025. We are at the Dingley Building, and we will call the meeting to order at 5:37 p.m. With the Pledge of Allegiance. We will start introductions with Member Iman Osman.
Iman Osman, Ward 5.
Elizabeth Eames, Ward 3.
Craig Charpentier, Ward 4.
Phoenix McLaughlin, Ward 1.
Megan Parks at large.
Jake Langley, Superintendent.
Karen Paquette, Assistant Superintendent.
Donna Gallant, Ward 7.
Scott Harriman, City Council Representative.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3 is the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that members would like set aside? Seeing none, the consent agenda is adopted. Agenda item number 4 is public input. Members of the public may address the school committee for up to 3 minutes on non-agenda items now and on agenda items later. Speakers must adhere to our public comment policy, BEDH, which is available at the back of the room or on the LPS website. These meetings exist to conduct school committee business. The purpose of public comment is to share thoughts on school and educational matters. Committee members and school staff will not reply during this time. Comments must be directed to the chair and be civil. By law, comments may not pertain to specific staff or students. Comments about individuals must be directed privately to the appropriate LPS staff. Student privacy must be maintained. The public comment period is 30 minutes unless extended due to unusual circumstances. Priority goes to Lewiston residents and parents, students, or employees of LPS. Before starting, please state your name, town or city of residence, and affiliation to Lewiston Public Schools.
Matthew Agron, Ward 4. I stand here before this committee to remind you, and through you and the superintendent, that our staff needs not to be blindly pushing any political agenda. To quote my mother, who spent many years teaching the Portland school system as one of the last remaining home economics teachers in the state of Maine, who had to revise her own class from hands-on sewing and cooking to teaching life skills. If my students know my political opinion on a subject, then I have failed them. Instead, I want to teach my students to learn how to think for themselves. I don't care if it's a right, a left, or a center. What our children needs to know how to do is think for themselves, not be told how to think on a subject. If you as an educator cannot accept that, not everyone thinks the same on all issues, then we have serious issues. Before anyone says, why am I bringing this up here? In the last 6 months in the state of Maine, we've had teachers who have publicly brought their own views into classrooms and have been unwilling to accept any other points of view. This also affects children's grades, as they control how they grade them on subjects. It also affects them being willing to want to learn on their own. Because if the instructor blindly says that the point of view that contradicts them is incorrect, why would they want to learn anything on their own? It's the same thing. We don't want them to preach any religion in school, because what religion is real? What religion is the right religion? None of them to be in a public school system.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak? Seeing none, we will move along. Oh, that died. Agenda item number 5 is to receive and potentially vote on the Google Apps update.
So I shared a memo and I tried to capture this well, but essentially Google has had a shift in their terms of use, and some of this has to do with just oversight at the federal level, but also age-related restrictions that live in places like SIPA and other acronyms that help govern what students access in schools. So in the memo, I shared some of the apps. I'm going to put it up on the screen for folks to see. Some of the apps that we have used for a very long time. And for those of you who are around, not so long ago, we had a pretty dynamic conversation about YouTube and being able to access YouTube in schools. That screen shut off. Oh no, it just turned off.
Is it still visible to the public?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll continue. Sorry for those listening. My pause was we're looking at a screen, but the screen shut off. So members of the committee have it, and hopefully we can get that back up. It's blinking. Oh. All right, so going through these, I shared a number of items that our IT team shared with me, but in essence, if we don't have parent permission for students to be using these particular applications on the computers, which we are a Google district, so we use Google Mail, we use Gmail, we use Google Calendars, all things Google. We also have a lot of Chromebooks that run on Google, obviously, and so the hope is to continue to be able to use these tools, but to do so, we need parent permission. And this one is slightly different from the YouTube piece, where there was some debate back and forth as to whether or not you could make a policy decision to just turn it back on. And ultimately, that's what the school committee did. The advice on this latest version is to have parents sign off and give permission. And so you can see the recommendations that I had shared is that we get parent permission, or the committee could declare these tools as district tools and obligate parents to sign students out. So take an opt-out approach. There are layers of concern around an opt-out approach, or what they call passive consent. Like, we're doing this, and if you don't want to, you have to tell us. I think it's permissible, but it would be better to have a parent signature on a line that says, I know my student's going to be accessing school or district approved applications that are installed or available on their school devices. The alternative to that, if we don't get that back from folks, is that they wouldn't be able to be issued a school device because there is no on off. We either as a district allow it and get parent permission, or it comes off all the devices because there's no way to manage 6,000 plus machines and who has access to what specific tools on every single machine. And so there's a couple of layers to this to think about. And what I didn't see as an option, but certainly you make the policy decisions, I didn't see as an option to not use these tools. I don't think it's realistic to not allow access to Google tools for our kids and to our staff. I would also add that staff have built a lot of fantastic lessons that have kids navigating these tools that they will need for the rest of their lives or in the real world. And if we just decide as a district we're not going to use any of these tools, those lessons would no longer be valuable or useful in the way that they are. And we would have a whole lot of technology available to kids and not much to do with it. So.
Member Eames?
Do we need a certain percentage of parents to approve? Or is it just, it's not a case by case basis? So how is this going?
So parent approval would be case by case. As a district, we have to decide those apps are on the machines or they're not. So I would push pretty hard that they need to be on the machines. But if they are, if parents opt out, we wouldn't issue that student a device. We would say, our devices have these things. If you don't want your children to have access to them, we'll have to look for a different way to go about it.
Do parents still sign like permission for their kids to have a school issued laptop at the start of the school year?
So we don't do that like the same way we used to. I don't want to say that there's no signing of anything, but for example, in the middle school, those devices used to go home. Those devices don't go home anymore. So the big part of signing it was you're liable for this when it leaves the building, and there could be costs if it gets trashed, that kind of stuff. We don't send those devices home anymore. It's so fluid, the situation now with kids with their phones and other devices in the home, that it didn't prove to be as advantageous as we had initially had thought. So that's why that signature piece has gone away.
Member Glant?
Yeah, what grades do get the computers, the laptops?
So we're a one-to-one district, so kids have access to machines all the way through our school system.
Starting with kindergarten?
Yeah, they have iPads.
And they don't take them home, or
They do not.
high schoolers either?
High schoolers do.
Okay,
Yeah, they have access to them at home.
okay, thank you.
Member McLaughlin?
So just to clarify, this is only prompted by a change in Google's terms of service. It's not legal advice. It's not some regulation. It's nothing. It's just Google's terms of service.
Correct. I think Google's terms of service have been driven by federal oversight and
Okay.
things of that nature around age and access to different apps. I think as a company, Google has changed their terms of service to cover themselves. And for us to cover ourselves, we would need parent permission to do so.
Counselor Harriman?
Thank you. So I guess I would agree with superintendent that we need these apps. You know, we need to allow for them to be used. My initial thought was that not many parents will object in my opinion, so we could just make them opt out if they want. However, if the alternative is that their student doesn't get issued a laptop, I think that's a pretty good incentive for them to actually fill out that form. So I'm kind of ambivalent as to which way we do it, because if they don't sign that form, their student doesn't get a laptop, and they're going to be on top of it.
Another challenge to this is, to your point, timing. So if we were having this conversation in July, all this documentation would probably been pretty clean. We'd have sent it home with kids to start the year and had a clean cycle for this. This came up after we did a lot of the distribution and availability. So I feel like it's always that way, but that's one of our challenges this year. One thing the school committee could do is to do a passive consent this year with a decision to roll out next year with a signed consent. We just have to broadcast and make sure it's very clear to everyone in every language that that's what we're doing.
Member Eames?
If a parent opted them out because they have a laptop at home and it's not a big deal to them, would all of this be available to someone with a home laptop, or this is only available in this form and with these homeworks on a school computer?
I think I understand your question, that if someone was using a home device, they would have access to all of this online. Yeah, all of these tools, if you have a Google account, you can jump in and out of. And I think at no cost, I'm kind of looking at Austin, but I think much of these tools will.
Including the teacher's own specific assignments.
Yes. Yep. So
Actually, I think I can clarify. So anybody who's using their Lewiston Public Schools Google account, so you're signing into Gmail, you're signing into any Google, if it's with the Lewiston Public School account, we have control over those accounts. So it doesn't really matter which device you're using, it's about the account that you're using.
So you need us to decide if we want to have permission slips universally, or if we want to just put it out there and then people can say, I don't want my kid having this. That's what you need from us.
right. And again, that could be multi-year where you choose the opt-out this year. I think it'll be very cumbersome to get all this back from people right now at this point in the year. And I don't know how to go about it other than the form goes home, and if it comes back, we have it. And then if it doesn't, do we go around and take kids' devices back? It's slippery, I think. The start of year is just a way better time to do that. And I would be remiss too, because I did include in the bottom of the memo that while this applies to Google, we do have a vetting process internally with our IT team and our education staff to look at apps and look at their privacy protections and all of the different layers for kids to have access to them. So if we go this route, I would do it for all apps approved by Lewiston Public Schools falling under that umbrella.
Member Gallant, do you still have a question?
Yeah, you may have already answered it. Especially for the younger grades, is there oversight when they're using these apps? And are there, I don't know how else to put it, it may not be the right word, firewalls or safety protections where they don't go onto something inadvertently where they shouldn't be?
So the answer to that question is yes. We have developmentally appropriate, age appropriate oversight both as we train staff, but also electronic oversight. Some of what is up here from the Google world, if you will, with their operating system and their apps, is that oversight layer of, for example, Austin, because he's in here, he can access things remotely. So if he needs to check on a machine or go into a machine, he can actually do so from his desk. And so that layer of oversight, especially for our littles, is critically important. Now, could a high school kid navigate to places they shouldn't and just try to get by things? The answer is yes. And when they can't get by it, they just put the hotspot on their phone on and they don't use our network at all. So it has all kinds of layers of accessibility. Yeah.
Counselor Harriman.
Thank you. My question was similar. So, for example, if we're giving somebody access to YouTube, there are still filters at the network level that filter out some of the things that are less appropriate for school.
Yes.
Okay.
And if it's a school issued device, we have some control of constraints within things in our settings as a school issued device. If you're using your home device, I don't think parents, well, most parents wouldn't even know how to set those restrictions. Although if you're listening at home, you can set restrictions on those devices around age and content.
Okay.
Craig.
Just a clarifying question. All these apps are currently being used. There's nothing new that's coming on. They're already using them currently.
So I didn't ask that specific question, but these all look familiar to me as
Yeah,
things that we've consistently been using for many years.
Okay.
They didn't bring it as this is something new.
Right.
The only thing that is new that I would include is the vetting process has really been formalized as a district, because we had a teacher buying an app and an ed tech getting an app, and they would just use it in their classroom or try to load it on all the devices by themselves. That's no more. This is
Okay.
all controlled, because there are certain privacy restrictions that have different age groups, especially under 13, that have some very specific criteria. So everything gets vetted now for student privacy.
Thank you.
The only one on the list that I've never heard of is Looker Studio. Is that what that says? Looker Studio. That's the only one I've never heard of. Or is it Locker? Looker. Yeah. It's the only one on the list I've never heard of and not familiar with, but.
I didn't mean to stop share. I clicked on it because then these are actually links. So let me reshare my screen. It will show you. So this is, so you can see that there's different templates for marketing analysis and different reporting. So some of the examples here look like more statistical analytics, data mining, that kind of thing.
That was awesome.
Just a quick question and then a comment. I don't see Google Classroom on there. Is that part of this as well?
Go ahead.
So Google Classroom is not one that has been turned off and needing parent permission. So you're noticing on the list that there's not Gmail, there's not Drive, that the calendar, like some of the other pieces. The ones you don't see on here are up and going and students are able to use them. The ones that are on the list as of right now have been turned off for students to access, which is why we're bringing it to you to make that decision.
Okay. Yeah, just the comment would be, I'm fine with just doing an opt-out. In fact, I would really prefer it because I think there's concerns about technology in schools and it's not this. I think it's, phones and other, it's not the school managed software. So I think I get the sense that parents would probably be more annoyed than anything if we make every single person fill something out. So I would support the opt-out
Yeah.
approach.
You make a motion. Where is it?
Next page up in that.
Hang on. We'll open it up for public comment before, before we make a motion.
Come on. Matthew Agron, Ward 4. I kind of am with most of you here that this should be an opt-out this year, but next year it should be a required paper. I do have another question. If the kid does opt out, what do you do with the assignments that are on the computer? That is a fair question, because I remember when my kid was doing classes, there were things that came through Google Drive, and the only way you could resubmit them to the teacher was Google Drive. So what are we going to do with those? The only thing that was up there that I had questions on was the third-party backup apps, servers. Exactly what was that? What does that mean? Is that for like independent apps that aren't listed? So, but yeah, I would support this year an opt-out, next year a formal, yes, you have to sign and say, yes, your kids want in.
Go for it.
So any third-party app that we use is vetted, as Superintendent Langlis said, through actually it's a national or a nationwide, there we go, there's the words I'm looking for, a nationwide consortium where we ourselves, along with many other districts and some legal, go through the apps and look to see what it is that they collect for information, what they ask students for in terms of data, whether they collect their data, whether they don't collect their data. So this third-party app backup, this would be anything that we would allow students to use on our computers. We vet those apps. We do not allow them. We don't allow students to use apps that would collect any information on them, be used for research purposes, things like that. So this is on the list because it's on Google's list, but we have another layer of vetting that we use that would not allow for students to use those types of apps anyway.
The homework piece. So we have some kids now that their parents actually opt them out of all technology in our schools, and we find a way to make sure they have what they need. It's a small number. I think if it got bigger, we want to keep a pulse on it, but it's been a pretty small number. I think 2 or 3 a year system-wide that their parents have opted them out of technology. Another added layer of protection. So I think of things like that might be familiar to others listening, like Khan Academy, that can be really helpful with math. So you can sign up for Khan Academy at home and you can put in your name and your email and all of those things. So when we do it through our managed services, we can decide if we're going to allow that or not. And we can create unique usernames, unique access codes, things of that nature, so that we're not telling kids in classroom, and sitting in a math class, oh, this online place is neat, go put all your information in there. Well, now that information is stored elsewhere, and that can be part of that third party piece. So we're really intentional about that, as like Karen mentioned.
Did you want to make a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion that LPS uses Google tools to enhance education, and any parent guardian who wishes to restrict access for their student must fill out a form, sign off, and will not be able to use a school device.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous.
Should we make a motion about next year, or is that next year we should make a motion about next year?
It's up to us if we want to do that now or wait. Okay, we'll wait. Agenda item number 6 is to receive the school committee goals input process.
I again shared another item with you, just looking at, sorry, I'm going to switch documents here. Looking at just the process, the school committee has started working on goals. We talked about them in June, and summer is not a great time to get feedback. And so we were looking at, see if you had more feedback today, but then also looking to put out a survey and then having a public session coming up. I think it was October 9th, to look at that. Sorry, I lost my folder. Clicked on too many things. There we go. So also in that memo, I included just the draft items with some other input that has come in at the very bottom. So below the letter, there's more pages there. But looking for, again, opportunities for in-person feedback, survey feedback from community. Again, having another round of your feedback after we can look at what comes in and integrating that. We do think it's important, though, to talk consistently about how these goals align to existing school goals from our comprehensive needs assessment work with our title funds. And also being mindful of wants and wishes and how we are factual about what that might cost and or take to implement. I think sometimes we want a lot of things, but when we look at the nitty gritty of what it would take to get there, what would be the ramp up, how many positions do we have the space, what would be the tools and materials, all those pieces, I think we just have to be honest about those so we don't surprise our community with a great idea that costs a lot of money that didn't anticipate coming. So just wanted to put that process in front of you, see if you had thoughts or ideas, and go from there. And if there's no other thoughts and ideas, we'll carry that out and see what we get and then bring it back to you.
Yeah, I'll just say one, I'm glad you're doing the October 9th time and continue advertising that. I think that's good. I will just say, I mean, this isn't anything new, but I was trying to think this through a little bit when I was looking at this, is how to incorporate the two pieces that I think we did bring up in June around how to think about turnover, staff turnover as part of this, as well as the special purpose education programming, because those, I think, not related, but just I think those are both important things that are being worked on, and yet it seems like they're actually going in the right direction already. And so I struggle with that a little bit, just thinking like, well, maybe I don't know, do we work that in because it needs more attention, or is it on a good trajectory now, and maybe we don't need to have this larger focus on it. So I don't really have an answer on that, but I just wanted to put that out there for consideration, and considering that I don't want to keep adding goals because you start to lose track of what you're really trying to focus on. But that, I guess, if there are good places to kind of incorporate that into the other umbrellas, then maybe there's value there. But anyways, the point being, ultimately, yes, I think it's good to get this additional public input on the 9th, input from teachers and so on, and then maybe we can, after that, take a stab at pinning down what we want to see.
Member Glant?
October 9th, I haven't looked. Is that a regular committee meeting or is that a different meeting?
It's actually a Thursday evening.
It's a Thursday.
Yep.
Are committee members coming to this, or how is that?
I would make it optional for you, for sure. We're going to have interpreters in the room for families who need any assistance with language, and have a process for people to review and provide input. So
Will it be broadcasted as well?
we can. We'll see if Austin's available.
Okay, thank you.
I'm assuming at Connors, or?
We'll make sure we have the right location and broadcast that
Okay.
out. Probably the ladle, but I want to make sure it's available first.
Public comment?
Hi, Matthew Agron, Ward 4. I'd like to back up what Phoenix was saying. Those are both two things that I was actually think that we need to actually include is retention, because the more we retain our staff, the less new training we have to do with the new incoming staff. So if we can figure out how we can keep more of the staff, that's a wonderful thing. And as I said at the last meeting, sometimes we don't stop and focus on the teachers that are just the people who are just there every day. We focus on the squeaky wheels. Well, the ones who are there every day are the ones that we need to at least go, why are you coming back every day? It happens in every business. It's not just the school system. Every business has that issue. You don't focus on who's there every day for you. The special needs program, which is moving back in, looks like it's going wonderful. Like you, I don't know where to put it in here, but it needs not so much goal, but just like remind people it's there, because it's slipping in really good without a whole lot of publicity. Like the deaf program that came in, got one great article in the paper and nothing else since. People aren't even, if they didn't catch that one article, they don't know it exists. And we're not shipping our deaf children now down to the old Baxter School for the Deaf. We are keeping them in-house. They're not on the road for 2 hours a day. But teacher retention is something I really think needs to be in here, staff retention, because we need to know what we can do to keep them and what we are doing, why we're losing them. Thank you for your time.
You don't need any kind of emotion on this, do you?
No, just was looking for feedback, and if you had other thoughts, we'll include.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just real quick, one more thing. I do think in communication, especially with the public, I would include the cost element pretty explicitly, because I think that it's very tempting and very easy to just pretend like all this doesn't cost anything at all. But I do think that because part of the purpose for this in my mind is to also help align the budget conversation in the spring. And so I think if we all and staff and ultimately voters and parents are on board with some initiatives to help improve these things, then I think that will ultimately help those conversations and hopefully help achieve this. But I just mentioned that because I think it's easy to not, and you have included that here, which is great. And I would just continue mentioning that as things go along. Just, here's what we think can help achieve these goals, and here's what it will take. Because it's not outrageous, but it is some money, and everything is any dollar amount is always a big conversation. So I think it's worth keeping up front. Thanks.
Any other discussion on this? No, and you're done? All right. Agenda item number 7 is report from the school committee chair. I am the school committee representative on the Lewiston Area Public Health Committee, and we had the 5th recovery rally this weekend, and it went really, really well. We had a lot of representation from Lewiston Public Schools staff, and so it was great to see everyone and have good weather once again, luckily. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report. Agenda item number 8 is report from the superintendent.
Just want to thank people for their patience with all the construction going on in town. Some of that connected to school and some of it not. But it's hard to get certain places quickly when the East Ave lights are turned off at dismissal with 2,000 people leaving campus, but we got through it. And just as a note, it's a joint project with the city and the school department, but the tennis court construction or replacement has started. They were taking down fence and nets and whatnot today. I have been asked by numerous people, well, how long might there be some disruption? And the reality is probably till next summer. It's not every day, all day, but there will be different disruptive components. So as people access the high school grounds from the tennis court side, it might make more sense to just go up to the light more and more. And we're keeping a pulse on that. Other things that we're keeping a pulse on, transportation this year has started off much more smooth. We've had less kind of late dismissals and less disruptions. We're still trying to fine tune things, but it's going pretty well. And gosh, I feel like we just met, but start of the school year is uneventful. Kids are engaged and growing. We're seeing a lot of people celebrate things in different spaces. And so we're really excited about that. And the last thing I have in my notes is that we have started our assessment window that's issued to us. And so we're just challenging our kids and our staff to think positively about showing everybody what you know and doing the very best you can on those. And we'll go from there.
Any questions, comments? Yep, go ahead.
Just real quick on the assessments, what's the turnaround for getting the results? When do we learn that?
So it varies on different assessment.
I just even,
She's
is it
my
like next
assessment.
year we find out what happens this year? Or? Okay.
No, so one of the reasons why the state switched to the NWEA as the state assessment is because of the immediacy with the results. So it's within the day or the week of the assessment, depending on because it's a computerized assessment rather than in the previous assessment was a fill in the bubble. You got to read the read the essays and all of that. So there's pros and cons to that, but to answer your question, it's immediate. Yeah, so Sue is sharing off to the side here that it takes a bit longer in the spring to get the results back because it's measuring for the state assessment. It's measuring standards and progress, but it's not nearly as long as it was in the past.
Member Glant?
Yes, what is the window of assessment? What's the time frame that the kids can take the assessment?
So the assessment schedule or calendar, I believe, is on the website and you can see it there. But right now the window goes until the end of October. And then there's another window that's around the month of May. There's also the main state science assessment that happens at that time. We have access that happens for our multilingual learners from like a January to early March timeframe. So the state has lots of different assessments and they have different windows. We also have an alternative assessment that some of our special education students take for the state. So if you want the full picture, I can certainly share the schedule directly with you so you can sort of see, but it should be on the website. We also have a schedule of local assessments for data that we gather locally.
Thank you. Agenda item number 9 is report from our city council rep.
I don't have anything to report this week.
Thank you. Do we have any updates from subcommittees? No. Member Eames?
Yeah, well, I'm not chair, but the Pathways/Curriculum Committee just met, and we were focusing in on goal number 1 and thinking about how to reimagine and implement whatever changes we think about in terms of pathways to graduation.
Anyone else? No. All right. Agenda, did you have something?
I did. Last week, we met with the school behaviors and school safety subcommittee. And much of the conversation, at least last week, was saying that this year feels like we're off to a really good start. We need to make sure we're doing a good job sharing the positive things that are happening, because it's pretty easy for people to cling to something that might pop up. And so we're looking at some different methods to share just good things that are going on, because it's something that people don't see, but it's pretty magical. It's happening in schools if you have a chance to see it. So.
Thank you. Agenda item number 11 is community announcements. Councilor Harriman?
Thank you. I just wanted to share that the final art walk of the season is this Friday. Around 4 or 5 p.m. is when it kicks off, downtown, mostly around Lisbon Street.
Thank you. Member Eames?
My every meeting plug of the November 1st Lewiston Public Library Unicorns, Dragons, and Mermaids Oh My event, a mythical creature party, November 1st, 12 to 2. It's free. Bring your kids to Callahan Hall. Okay, thanks.
Anything else? Nope. Any future agenda items? Member Osmond?
So I would like to say that I don't know how everybody else feels, but I wanted to ask committee to go to the middle school and observe the bathroom situation. As committee members and see the situation on our own and observe what. Yeah.
I think to go see it, I guess I'm curious, are you asking to go visit the middle school and see it during the day? Because I think that can just be arranged. But obviously when we meet in the evenings, there's no school, so it would be hard to see what's going on, but we can definitely make that happen if that's what you want to do.
I mean, as committee members, I think I think I just wanted us to go see and see how the facility is, the bathroom facilities, and the privacy situation and safety concerns that people are raising. And
Can you coordinate a time with Amanda for us to do like a field trip, or do we want to go individually? Do you think we should all go together or as individuals all together?
We should individually go look at the bathrooms.
I mean, I know that not everybody's schedules will align for going during the day, so that's what I meant by Like,
Yeah.
right. I didn't mean just randomly walk in the middle school and stare at the bathrooms. That's not what I meant, but like, I didn't know if one
Yeah.
group would be able to coordinate.
Yes.
I'll look at some different options.
Thank you. Agenda item number 13 is to enter into executive session to discuss a legal matter in accordance with 1 MRSA 4056E. Oh, yes.
I just wanted to get an update. It's not a future agenda item exactly, but an update on staffing. I guess we're doing pretty well on this, on the staffing, but I wanted to have that said out loud.
So yes, staffing is much better this year, and retention is up. Best it's been in 7 years or something to that effect. So we'll pull data so you have accurate numbers in front of you, but things are a plus. But I'll make a note.
Somebody want to make the motion that I previously stated?
Yeah, so moved.
And second by member Osmond. All in favor? School committee is in executive session at 6:17 PM.